For anyone that's joined us in the last few minutes, we are about to kick off the 2021 Europe finale for the NVC. I'm Caroline Evans-Gigantes here in Paris this evening, and we have 25 panelists that you, the audience, can see, and that's composed of our organizing team, our moderators for this evening, our judges, and our 3 wonderful finalists. And then we're up to 57 attendees, but attendees, you can't see each other. You can only see us, the panelists. So we encourage you to keep shouting out in the chat where you're from, who you're supporting tonight. I see we have quite a few good lucks to our finalists. That's wonderful to see all the support. Hello from NYC, London, San Diego. We also have, I see, we have Jennifer from the business school. Welcome. Give a wave. Sandra also from the business school. Welcome. Give a wave. We're thrilled to have you with us this evening here in Paris.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
We're just waiting for all of our, we think we might have more than, I don't know, 100, 150 in the audience. So we're waiting to see, giving folks a chance to zoom in. We're up to 66 attendees. Wonderful. Welcome to that audience. You can see me, but I can't see you. So write in that chat. Oh, wonderful. People coming, zooming in from Florida, Paris, San Diego. Wonderful. We also have earlier on Germany, Amsterdam, Texas, Mexico, the Cotswolds in the UK, Poland, wonderful, Portugal, Istanbul, Italy. Wow, I think we have what amazing reach across all of Europe. This is just incredible.
Maybe one comment from my side for the judges. So if you want to add judge into your line of name, then you go on your own image, and then you have on the right upper side, you have 3 dots. And if you click on those dots, on the bottom, there's something like rename. So you push rename, and then you come into a line where you can type in the new name with the judge. So we see it. And maybe you put the judge at the beginning if your name is as long as my name is. So we see it, because otherwise we can't see it. Yeah.
Thank you for that, Alex. So we've identified our judges here tonight. We've identified our HBSers from the business school joining us, and we're just waiting to get, waiting to let more people zoom in. So I'll give the tally. We have over 100 participants, and as soon as I get the word from Claire and Isabelle, I'll hand it over to them. But this is just great to see all this activity coming in on a Thursday evening in March.
Thank you, Caroline. Isabel, can I just check? You are on mute at the moment. Could you just check your chat box? I just want to make sure that's working.
Which one? The one of Claire?
Yeah, your chat box. You'll see. I've just sent you.
Ton chat.
So I just want to make sure leaving the message.
Okay, let me check. Isabelle Robuisson. So where is it? Oh, la chat box. Oui, j'ai fait ça déjà. De Julie. Ok. Ah, dis donc, il est bizarre. Attends une souris. Donc, on se met où là? Yes, I have test. So, yes.
Non, mais maintenant tu peux prendre, hein, c'est bon.
Attention, attention parce que là, ça fait du larcène avec mon...
Non, mais j'ai coupé le micro. Non. Oui, mais j'ai pas coupé le son, mais j'ai coupé le micro.
83 in the audience. This is wonderful. This is
T'inquiète pas.
just fabulous.
Ok. Vas-y, c'est bon. Vas-y, c'est bon. Donc, tu parles, tu commences. Alors, tu veux partager ton... Ok. Non, non, reste là.
109 total participants. This is just keeps climbing. And it looks like we're off. So I will wish you all a wonderful
C'est la première fois que c'est
session. You'll hear from me again when it comes to the Q&A.
bizarre, ce truc.
Over to you, Isabel.
Yes, Corinne. C'est bon, moi, je suis montée. Voilà. Tu as ton... Hello.
How is everybody today? Okay, good. So, what
Trying to warm up the room and explain to everyone that there are panelists in the audience, and we have 85 people in the audience, Isabel.
Fantastic, fantastic. So, are we ready to go?
Isabel, just sorry, this is Julie again. Just before you start, can you adjust your screen because we can not see all your face properly? So
Oh,
just
that's such a pity.
okay, that's great, brilliant. Thank you very much.
Okay. Very good. So we are live? Yes. Very good. So, first of all, I would like to say good evening to everybody. And my name is Isabelle Roubisson. I'm a member of the Bureau of the HBS Club of France, as well as the team lead for the 2021 edition of the HBS Alumni Europe NVC. The NVC team and myself are delighted to welcome you tonight to our European finale. And you are actually quite numerous. I think Caroline gave you the latest numbers. We have more than 200 people who are registered and from all across the globe, which is fantastic, and from many different countries. So thank you to all of you for being here. We also have the pleasure of welcoming Jennifer Davis, Associate Director, Alumni Programs and Rock Center for Entrepreneurship, as well as Sandra Fellis, Senior Assistant Director, HBS Clubs and Associations. So wholeheartedly welcome, and Jennifer will tell you more about the NVC and the Rock Center of Entrepreneurship in a few minutes, and I'm sure you will learn a lot and be excited about what is being done at the Rock Center. But before I hand over to her, I would like to present the teams who have been working on getting us to this point, number one, and on bringing this event together tonight. And as you know, the HBS Club of France organizes this competition, and what we do is we recruit, select, and choose our European winner, which we send to the global NVC. And we do that with in association with a number of clubs in Europe. So what I want to share with you is, first of all, our milestones. In Europe today, this year, we had 26 submissions out of 12 countries with different degrees and different sectors, as you can see on this slide. And that puts us as the second region out of 15 regions in the contest in terms of number of candidates that have submitted for the competition. And I'd like to thank the team for this result. And I must say that we are behind the New York Club of the HBS New York club. So there is actually not big shame being only second if we are behind them, because I think the scale is a bit different in New York than it is actually with us. So that's the first thing I wanted to say, and I'd like, of course, to congratulate the team for achieving that. And that's actually what I want to do now is if we are to tell you a bit about the teams which are helping out in this competition here in Europe. And I'll start with the NVC team. What you will see is that it's a multinational team, and that's, I think, the secret sauce that we've been, I'd say, ironing for a number of years. We have a marketing team, country ambassadors, with which you can read the name of, and we have some pillars that we are also leaning on. Claire Delaunay, for example, which is the assistant of our club here at HBS France, and then people who have organized the competition before, like Roland and Benoît Raillard, and Benoît Dupont, who actually is a former winner of the NVC competition. I think it's the 2017 winner, and he's always very helpful and really a pillar for us in this competition. So I'd like to thank them for taking us to where we are. And then the second team is going to be actually in action tonight. It's the judges team, very important team. And here what we are happy to have is a selection of a very distinguished set of either VCs or successful entrepreneurs or investors or top-level consultants with Jérôme Brunet, for example, from Bain & Co. So we are very happy to have this multinational type of team, which brings us quite some depth into the analysis we are doing of the several candidates and submissions we are receiving. So what I wanted also to share with you is get now into the program for tonight and talk about skip this one. Okay. I wanted also to mention before I get into the program tonight, of course, our sponsors team, which is composed of Bain & Company, of SAP.io, which is the early venture arm of SAP, and Ilium Partner, who is an investment banking and asset manager in the technology area for technology companies as well as investors. And of course, Harvard Business School. And we have Sandra and Jennifer here to show that the amount of collaboration we have with them is absolutely outstanding. And we thank them for being there tonight. Let me now get into the program for tonight, and you will see that the timeline that we have put together. So basically, what you'll see is that Jennifer is just going to take on and do a welcome address for us, and after that, I will take a little bit of time to introduce the finalists, and then we get into the real meat of the program, which is the pitches by the finalists. They have each of them 5 minutes to pitch and 10 minutes of Q&A. And they will be monitored in terms of their timing by Johanna Blöningen, who is going to be providing us with a voice over. Then as we have listened to the finalists, we will get into two parallel tracks. One of them is going to be the jury deliberation, and the jury will leave us and go to their own deliberation room. And then we will stay with the audience and the candidates and we will organize number one, a crowd favorite election survey, which will lead to the election of the crowd favorite. And then which will not, and the answer of the crowd favorite will not be given at that time, but we will announce it after we have announced the winner. And then we will organize Q&A exchange between the audience and the candidates. As we do this Q&A exchange, we would like to insist on one thing. If you want to ask questions as you are going through the event, please always use the Q&A button at the top of at the bottom the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. That would be the best way to do it, and that's the way we will get the questions, and we will do our best to, of course, answer the greatest number of them. And then that's where things will accelerate. Alec, who is going to be Alec Rauschenbusch, who is going to be our judge lead, will come back and will announce the winners, and we will then announce the crowd favorite. That will be done by Benoit Dupont. And by the way, Benoit Dupont was himself a crowd favorite when he competed in Boston a few years ago. And then I suppose that the winner will want to say a few words. And of course, we have set up some 1 minute time for him or her. And I will then conclude the evening. So that's what we are up to. And we hope you will enjoy this event. And with no further delay, I hand it over to Jennifer, whom we are thanking again for taking the time to be with us today. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Isabel. Can you guys all hear me well? Yes, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for the warm welcome. And as Isabel mentioned, I'm Jennifer Davis, and I'm the Associate Director of Alumni Programs at the Rock Center for Entrepreneurship at HBS. And I'm so pleased to be here this evening, or daytime for me still, just to support and celebrate the fantastic teams that are presenting. For those of you who are not familiar with the Rock Center, I thought I would just take a moment to share a bit of background. We were established back in 2003 by the very generous donation from Arthur Rock. And our goal is to support both our students and alumni who are launching, joining, or investing in new ventures. In addition to our many virtual programs that are designed for entrepreneurs, we also develop unique programming and resources for our alumni. So I just wanted to give you a few examples. So we have our Rock 100, which is a worldwide exclusive HBS network for alumni founders of early stage high growth ventures. We create programming and events that are tailored to the unique challenges of founders of these ventures. This year, we also launched the Rock Entrepreneurship Advisor Program, which is a highly curated group of exceptional, experienced serial founders and investors from all over the world who are available for one-on-one virtual meetings with alumni to answer questions on specific startup challenges, offer pitch feedback, and more. And of course, together with the HBS alumni clubs and associations, we are really proud to sponsor the alumni track of the New Venture competition, which brings us to tonight. So we were so thrilled after this past year that we received 166 applications across 8 global regions, which is more than we've received in the past 3 years. And I have to say that we were thoroughly impressed with the caliber of ventures and diversity of problems being addressed. And as Isabel mentioned, in the Europe region alone, we received 26 incredible applications. So I'm excited for you to see the top 3 tonight. For those of you who are joining today who might be in the early stages of your entrepreneurial journey, I sincerely hope that these teams today will inspire you to push forward. And for those of you who may have submitted an application but are not moving forward in the competition, I encourage you to apply again. We've actually had many teams come back to win the entire competition the second year they entered. And then I'd like to invite each of you to join us at our new venture competition finale, which is taking place on Tuesday, March 30th at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. So before I pass it back over to Isabel, I just want to take a moment to give my deepest thanks to the incredible team at the HBS Club of France, who've been so thoughtful and diligent in their selection process and for putting together this wonderful regional competition this evening. And to the 3 teams that are presenting, congratulations and good luck.
Thank you very much, Jennifer. What a nice comment, what nice introduction, and what a nice welcome address. So you know, you're welcome anytime to join us. What I want to do now is to maybe introduce the finalists. So we have 3 finalists today, and I'll go by alphabetical order. One of them is Thomas Persson, and he's going to be presenting his startup health textile. He will be followed by Anne-Marie Giuliano, who is going to be presenting Muse. And then Anne-Marie will herself be followed by Adam Steele, who will be presenting the startup named Pango. What I wanted to do as well is to introduce our lead judge, whose name is Alec Rauschenbusch. Alec is the manager of Grazia Equity, venture capital firm, and we are delighted to have him here. He's a very faithful contributor and judge for the NVC, and we are delighted to be able to have him again this year. So thank you very much for that, Alec. What I'd like to do as well is to remind the attendees that if you want to raise questions during the event, you are welcome to do so. And in order to do so, I'm repeating myself, but I would like to remind you to use the Q&A button at the bottom. And that's the one we will consult in order to try and go through the questions. As far as the judges are concerned, Alec is soon going to enter the meat of the program with all of the other judges, the list of which you saw, and of course, last but not least, with our candidates. For you judges, what we want to do is to have you appear on the screen. So what we want to do as well is, as Alec is going to be moderating this session and making sure that after the 5 minutes of pitch of the candidates, we have the Q&A sessions where the judges will be asking questions. We would like to, for the judges, to raise their hand when they want to ask a question. And then Alec will say, Joel, please go ahead. What do you want to say? And that's the way we will try to have a very lively discussion and a very lively question and answer session after each of the candidates has made their pitch. So this being said, I think we are ready to head for the first session. And the first session is with our friend Tom Persson from Sweden. And Tom is the CEO of Health Textile. And we let you now discover the pitch of Thomas. So Thomas, and what I want to add as well is that, of course, we have Joanna, who is going to be in the back, and Joanna will be this voiceover voice who will say, you've got 2 minutes left, you've got 1 minute left, and we'll shut you as well as soon as the 5 minutes that are imparted for the pitch are consumed, or soon, and we'll shut as well the Q&A if needed. So Thomas, we start with you, and this is all yours.
Thank you, Isabel. I'm Thomas Persson at Hell Textiles. We offer probably the best personal protective equipment and performance sports garments in the world. Our focus is on three large global problems. First is the virus pandemic situation that we're all familiar with right now, the COVID crisis. And more nurses have died in COVID than during the First World War. A new H1N1 virus, or the swine flu virus, has been found in China with pandemic potential. The second problem we focus on is health-associated infections. Around 4 million patients get a health-associated infections in Europe, and it also causes 37,000 deaths within the EU. 6% of all the patients get sick at hospitals, even though healthy going into hospitals, and 10% on a global basis, according to WHO. And the third problem is sustainability. UN has created 17 sustainability goals, and number 13 is a climate action. And what we see the focus there all around the world is to reduce green gas emissions, focus on deforestation, water shortages, pesticide problems, plastic pollution, monocrop problem in farming. So our solution to the world is that Hell Textiles garments made of own patented Tortex fabrics with a competitive advantage of being organic, antivirus and antibacterial, sustainable, comfortable, durable. All of these is optimized and patented. We have tested and certified by the world leading institution, SGS in Hohenstein, SGS from Switzerland, Hohenstein from Germany. They are the best in the world, the best test labs. And we have verified last year the antivirus test capability against the swine flu or H1N1. And also our Tortex fabric is most likely against COVID, but there's no test standards around the world for that at the test labs. And we also verified the bactericidal capability of Tortex against SGS, against Staphylococcus aureus or staph. And basically 30% of all people have staph on the skin. And when that gets into the blood system, it can create sepsis or blood. So this is a really nasty bacteria. And the third thing we have verified is also we've done a cytotoxic test. That means that no harmful substances are released of our fabrics, and that's done usually in medtech products. So it's the highest standards. So our target market is healthcare and sports, both large and growing. And these markets were all large.
Thomas, can you please enlarge your screen? We can't see clearly your presentation. Thank you.
I can't get it, so I continue. So we focus both on antimicrobial medical clothing market, which is $11 billion in 2019, and we will double in 2027 to 22 billion. And we also will focus on anti-odor sports market, which basically is the same claim, but it's anti-odor. Basically, there's no bacteria growth. So, and that market is $30 billion, and we grow to more than around $64 billion. And the Tortex fabric is far superior to competition. We focus on two parts of the competition, both the traditional antimicrobial alternatives, competition using silver coatings solutions that can create antibiotic resistance and polluting the environment, basically silver and other heavy metals like zinc. And we also focus on our advantage against cotton and polyester, which is basically 80% of all the fibers in the world.
1 minute left.
Antibacterial, antivirus, antibacterial, sustainability, comfort, and durability. This is all optimized. And we have all reference customer in sports. Here you see our first customer in sports is Quarter by Quarter. We also have our first customer in healthcare. It's called Double Rose in Hungary. We've also done our first wear test in Portugal. And our go-to-market strategy is focus on, we start out focus on selling to producers, but now we're going more and more to distributors and then going to the healthcare market. And via sports, we're going to healthcare. In the sports, we're going to sports brands that have then go to niche segments. And we're going to take in around €1 million to scale up. And our gross margin goal is 50% in 2025, $28 million in sales and 10 people in the team. And our priorities right now as founders is focus on building a team. First steps are building the advisor board. Second, that is building the board. And third, start recruiting and building the management team.
Thank you.
It's all about protecting people and the planet.
So thank you very much, Thomas. And now I will hand it over to the judges. What I'd like to do is to see if we can have a view of the judges. So we are just checking that, and otherwise we'll go as we are. Judges, can you get on the video, please? Thank you.
Do we have any questions?
We're doing it. We're doing it. Not yet. Please, Joanna, we are wanting to have the judges on the video. Thank you.
Can I take over, Isabel?
Yes, go ahead, Alec.
Yeah, I would then start. We have already 2 questions being raised. So let's start with Carol and then Nicola as a second. Please go ahead, Carol.
Thank you. I love the presentation. We rushed you at the end, and I would love to hear more about the team, who is on the team today, the history of the team, and more details about adding to the team, skill sets, and the like. Thank you.
The team we're 3 founders. We're a founding family as a team, and we started up in 2015, and we were in development until 2019, and we went into revenue phase last year. And then my background, I'm basically the first Swedish hockey player with a Harvard MBA. So I have also a sports background from college, playing college hockey. And I worked 10 years in big Swedish companies like Ericsson, Telia, and also in IKEA. Probably the only Swedish, the only Harvard MBA with a background at IKEA. And we also own a fashion school in Sweden. That's where the idea came from. We own also a fashion school. That's where the idea comes of a new fiber. I will come to that when I get the question, because we're like Coca-Cola. We only talk about the brand, not the actual components. But the components was interesting. But I'm sure that question come. And then my mother is a textile teacher. So and then what we are also now, we also have announced our advisory board announced yesterday. So we have. In our advisor board, we have Frank Emer, who's a Harvard MBA 2004 partner at Apex, and we have our lawyer Anders Moberg, who's a partner at Serio and Harvard Law School, and we have the leading Swedish regulatory expert on medtech products on advisory board too, and also the leading patent engineer partner at Sacco, the leading Scandinavian IP firm. So we have assembled a great team here. The next step after that is actually to start recruiting, and then I would prefer to recruit from HBS.
Okay, good. So thank you very much, Tom. So we could continue with Nicola and then Joël as a third.
Hi, Thomas. Thanks for the presentation. It's very promising. So the technical questions are coming, and here's a question from the engineer. Could you describe what the biocides do and how they stick to the fabric And more importantly, what's the expected lifetime? Because a problem with those solutions of biocides on garments is that after several washes, they wear out and disappear. Could you elaborate on those issues?
But that's good that you mentioned that, because competition using silver coatings or zinc, and that washes away when you do laundry, and that gets released out in the water system, and that it's a huge problem if that will increase in the future, because it kills mechanisms and also can create antibiotic resistance. And what we are, I mean, our fabric, our antimicrobial capability cannot be washed away. We have verified up to 25 washes at the SGS antivirus test. We will do it for 100 washes in the future, but it's very costly. It's just, the test costs like $1,800. It's a lot of money, just one test. So, but what I will tell you now, I'll go into the product, the components, because that's reason what we have done. I mean, we have a unique combination of industrial hemp, cotton, polyester, and also licensed technology called 37.5. And hemp is the most sustainable fiber there is in the world. France is actually the leading country, has a competitive advantage in the whole new Green Deal, because they're the biggest producers of hemp in Europe, far ahead than Germany. And hemp is stores more carbon dioxide than trees, and it also it requires very little water in growing, or very little pesticides, and give back nourishments to the. So it's basically the best agriculture crop there is in the world. And our combination is what makes us having a patent here in Sweden. We received a patent in Sweden last year, and we also filed all the PCT applications and also the national application on the most relevant markets. But the key here is industrial hemp. And this is as big as electric car. If it wouldn't be for Tesla and China, then we wouldn't have the electric car. It's the same now with hemp, because in 2 years ago, US opened up create a new farm bill with the leading Republican and also leading Democrat senator, together with the president, signed US farm bill, open up for hemp growing after 80 years of being forbidden. And the reason why it was forbidden is because it threatened huge economic interests like the oil industry, the lumber industry, the cotton industry. But now you can't do it anymore. It's out on the bottle now, because the thing is that US and China, the world leads focus on this, and the whole world has to follow. And the good thing with France, they already grow 17,000 hectares of hemp. So they have a competitive advantage, and that's the key in our crop.
So just to make sure, follow up on that Nicola question and what you said, Thomas. So what you have patented is the combination that includes the hemp and the other materials you mentioned, and nobody else can actually design or produce a fabric with that combination. And is that combination responsible for the antimicrobial characteristic?
I ask our patent lawyer with this about the patent, just to what we can say. Basically, we can say it protects our invention with wide protection for fabrics that consist of hemp and function fibers. And we also have a patent that protects also fabrics with built-in centers, but that's a future opportunity I won't discuss now. But we are also into smart clothing for the future.
Okay, so maybe we continue. Just looking on the watch. I mean, we could talk about this for a bit longer, but we don't have so much time. So maybe Joel, you want to raise your question too.
Sounds good. Thanks, Alex. And Thomas, sounds like you've got a very promising product. I don't come from the technical side, so actually what I wanted to see is you also went pretty fast over your go-to-market slides. Can you tell us a bit more about your strategy there? Are you planning to just license your invention? Are you planning to get into production? Are you planning to get into actual fashion? What is your go-to-market strategy?
Thanks, Joel, for asking that. First, fashion, we stay away because it's just like cheap, and copying. We stay away from fashion. It's just, we focus on healthcare and sports. And we start, that's good you asked that, because we started building up our supply chain by going to China. So we've been 10 times to China in the past 5 years. And also thanks to my MBA classmate in Shanghai, Adam, who's helped us a lot when we build up our supply chain. He's Harvard MBA 2004 and partner at the healthcare venture capital firm in Shanghai. So we build up the whole supply chain from fiber to fabrics to fiber, yarn to fabrics to the garments. And what we will do, first we start out selling the fabrics, but now we're going more and more to distribute our garment because we have the supply chain. And that's more higher margins. And in sports, that's for healthcare. Sometimes we go direct just for reference cases. For example, we here in Stockholm, we developed the face mask for dentists. And just to get the reference case, then we can scale out in Europe. But what we won't scale up the face mask, but we will scale up, for example, healthcare uniform. That's our main focus that we did a wear test in Portugal. During a Corona crisis, it's like a clinical trial, but we classify as PPE, personal protection equipment. So we will focus more on garments now, it's higher margins rather than license selling the fabrics. We're starting out as that. And in sports also, we sell the garments and our customer put the logo in. And they have performance t-shirts, performance golf shirts, and we also now in pipeline with a few more products coming up for them. And they have NHL players as owners. So the big brands like Puma and Adidas, they cannot block that because they actually have NHL players as owners of this company. So we see a potential, we're growing with our customer here in Sweden. And then going towards niche premium sports brands internationally in Europe to start with. So our focus in Europe. Because the big brands like Puma and Adidas, they also have the big brands and they have the cotton polyester. So there's a disconnect with their performance fabrics and their brand. But they don't have the supply chain for this. So they got to delay the game. That's going to play it. So that's the reason we're going towards the niche players and help them create a competitive advantage. You see our point?
Yeah. But then it circles back to Carol's point about the team. Feels like, you're going to have to build out your team now with this very wide go-to-market strategy.
Yes, and we need the capital now to grow. That's what we need, and that's what we do fundraising.
Carol, you want to? Yeah,
thank you, Rich. Time is up.
Okay.
Oh!
Good. Thank you very much. Okay, so I hand over back again to Isabel. Yeah.
Yes. So thank you very much, Thomas, and we thank you for a nice presentation and courage in answering the answers. So very good. What comes next is Anne-Marie Giuliano, or who comes next is Anne-Marie Giuliano with the startup Muse. And I'd like to hand it over to you, Anne-Marie, for your presentation. Open your mic. Anne-Marie, open your mic. Yes,
thank you. Hi, my name is Anne Giuliano. I am the CEO and founder of Muse. After 15 years of experience in finance, I left Fortress Investment Group to start my own investment advisory business. And although it was successful and I had some of the largest corporations globally as a client, I struggled with my cash flow. When I looked into it further, I realized this is a big issue. There's 12 trillion in trapped liquidities to SMEs globally. And by trapped liquidity, we mean that a service has been performed, but not yet paid for. And this has a really big impact on a business's ability to survive. 85% of businesses fail, not because it's a bad business, but because there's a mismatch between when they're getting paid and when they have to pay out regular expenses, office and payroll. In addition, it takes about 2 days a week of a business owner managing this cash flow, which is over 10 billion of lost productivity in the UK alone. But it goes beyond the numbers. It's the stress of doing it. And most often than not, you'd see that these invoices are raised on the weekends or at night. And that's why I created Muse. Businesses need a simple way to see what the next 30 days look like and get access to finance quickly. We target businesses under 25 SME, 25 employees, and under 5 million of turnover because these businesses are underserved. Muse provides 4 things. The first is cash flow forecast. We integrate with the existing accounting package and bank accounts so businesses can quickly see what the next 30 days look like and search transactions easily. We provide access to funding through invoice finance, and our KYC KYB gets a business through onboarding within minutes. But the 4th thing is really where the magic comes in. We take all of that data so that we can price within seconds of someone linking into our accounts. And that is in comparison to the incumbents, which will typically take weeks to onboard clients. Our business model is simple. We stand between the funding providers and the SMEs. The SMEs will pay on average 2% of their invoice value for access to the funds. And Muse will be a customer acquirer and do the underwriting, the KYC, the debt verification, the payments, and the ongoing monitoring for the funding providers. Currently, we're getting our market share by targeting the invoice finance market. Here, the incumbents are not tech enabled and they take weeks to onboard compared to us in days. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. Most SMEs tend to use expensive overdrafts and credit cards or burdensome loans, which puts them more into debt, rather than invoice finance, where they're able to sell an asset. It becomes more of a sustainable funding where we're in line with the business as opposed to against it. Over the past year and a half, we've grown quite considerably. We've been able to finance £16 million worth of invoices to date and used COVID as a time to really strengthen our partnerships, which really paid off in September, where we've seen a lot of traction coming through our doors. And this is one of the reasons why we're fundraising now, to strengthen our sales and marketing, as well as our AI integrations. Our 5-year projections are reasonable, but it's actually not about the funds in use, but our valuation. As we grow, we become that much more valuable to banks and credit cards for acquisition. And we already saw 2 really notable transactions last year. The team is highly skilled in technology, SME lending, fintech, and startups. And we're backed by a fantastic advisory team in information technology, scale-ups, and invoice finance. The future is already here. We're already making the experience for SMEs better by linking into their accounting package to give them a good visual of what the next 30 days look like and access to capital. With 150 million SMEs globally, where we're able to provide certainty of cash flow and grow with our clients to give them that peace of mind, why wouldn't you join Muse? Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. Very interesting, and I think we can directly jump into the Q&A session. I see one hand raised already. Yeah, 2, maybe this time, yeah, Damien, Emmanuel, and then Carol. And let's take it in this sequence.
So this is a fantastic job, but there are plenty of invoice marketplaces all over Europe, and they did not develop more than their marketplace to propose SMEs to provide the invoice and to be paid the same day. So why did you do all of the things like expenses, follow-up, and everything? It seems that you developed a neobank they didn't need.
So it's an interesting question. So it's not just a marketplace what we're providing SMEs. It's the full experience of seeing what your cash flow looks like and being able to spot where you're going to have a need and then providing the access to that need. It's something that at the moment we're integrating with cash flow forecasting and also providing that finance behind it. We've been in talks with a couple large banks already and taking our technology as a white label into their product set. And if you look at the invoice finance market in general, it only represents 1% of the lending market to SMEs. And that's why really that's only the tip of the iceberg. We're not an invoice finance product. We're really here to disrupt kind of the traditional lending, the overdraft market, which has a 40% APR, and provide really that sustainable funding through invoice finance to businesses. And by over the next year, our goal is to go from days to minutes in providing that funding, so that will continue to look like an overdraft, but just be a lot more sustainable and beneficial for the business.
Thank you.
Great presentation. Could you tell us a bit more about your customer base? So what kind of customers and what has constituted the traction so far?
Yes, so our customer base is, typically anyone that raises an invoice. Pre-COVID, we were very focused on government businesses that service the government and healthcare in the healthcare sector, because at that point, the government were slow payers. During COVID, that kind of flipped a little bit, and we ended up seeing getting a lot more traction within businesses that provide services such as tutoring. We see some within real estate, and anyone kind of looking to get supplies and kind of need that additional funding as a gap.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Emmanuel.
Yeah, thank you.
Everything clear? Okay, Carol.
I have two questions. One, if you could speak more specifically about the competition and also your economic model, that would be great. And I should have started with telling you it was an excellent presentation. So my congratulations to you there.
Thank you, Carol. So really kind of the market right now, as I was mentioning before, our initial focus is the invoice finance market, because the incumbents are not tech enabled and take weeks to onboard, versus we'll be able to fund within 1 to 2 business days. Over time, what we're really looking to do is to disrupt the overdraft credit card and loan market by providing sustainable finance for those businesses. If you look back to kind of our funding model, what we're doing is we charge on average about 2% per invoice for the SME. And we sit in between the SME and the funder. So when we bring a funder on board, they've already approved our credit scoring. We work with them on what their risk appetite looks like. And so they go ahead and approve that. And I guess that's another thing to mention, is how we're different than a marketplace is we're not just matching it, but we're doing the underwriting in-house, even though the risk will sit with the funding provider. And for that, the funding providers will pay us about 80% of the invoice finance proceeds. Back of the envelope, that's roughly a 6% cost of capital for if you were to translate that into a deadline.
Clear. So maybe a little bit about the competition. I got the also here impression that there's still some question left, and especially also when I may add that you said okay, the incumbents are not tech enabled, and I completely agree. Nowadays, I mean, still the big banks, and so they're really still in old times, but they're changing quite significantly at the moment. And as you said, yeah, there are some tech companies, fintech companies that are picked up already. Yeah. So they don't develop everything in-house, but rather look for some sexy tech companies that they think they can bring something to their own value proposition. But also some of these players, they're quite rapidly developing in-house solutions. I know a few of them, banks in Germany. And so the question is a little bit, I mean, of course, they have some other advantages to small companies. And there are many like smaller companies. You have software companies out there who are trying to help SMEs with software solutions for financial planning, as you do, like cash flow plan, not only cash flow planning, right? like a one-stop shopping model that enables those players to really display all the like major financial KPIs and so forth. And then you have like the banks and the lending institutions and so forth, which come from another side. And the question is really at the end, why do you think you can you can win that game? Yeah. Maybe.
Well, we've been able to win it up to this point because we've been very agile in comparison to the banks. And then we've also seen, we're in discussions with two very large multinational banks with regards to using our technology. So they would actually provide us the deal flow, and we sit in that middle as that service provider, and they'll actually provide the funding on the other side. So I don't necessarily see the banks as maybe a threat, but more as a potential client for us. You've got a few different dynamics happening in the market. Number one, you've got Basel IV coming down the road, where capital reserves for this kind of cohort of client is going to have to increase, making it already unattractive. This client base, again, it's under 25 employees, under 5 million of turnover, is kind of unsexy for the larger banks to deal with. And it's operationally burdensome. So what you will see, and what you started to see at the end of last year, is that banks are going to start outsourcing it in different ways, and we would be a fantastic outsource provider for them. So if anything, I see this as a major opportunity for us, and why I don't think it's about funds and use. I think it's about valuation for us, because as we continue to grow, improve our technology works, we become that much more exciting for a large institution to acquire.
Very good. Thank you very much. Joël, you also had
2 minutes.
A question. And Jérôme also, I see, has raised his hand. So maybe we could take Jérôme. He has not had the chance to ask.
Yes, thank you.
If you're okay, Joël.
Thank you, Alec. Quick question. There is in the market, I mean, companies offering factoring, I mean, invoice financing, which is called basically a factoring. And there are packages very much dedicated and very much focused on SMEs. I get it's not the same, but how would you say that Muse offer a superior service or added value to SMEs versus those packages which basically provide also a funding to the SMEs in a relatively efficient way, I would assume?
Yes, because we're not just the funding provider. What we're doing is we're also providing that insight without having to have that SME do a lot of work. We're plugging into systems that already exist that give them that kind of 30-day cash flow forecast. As we continue to build out on the AI side, we'll be even able to build that more and give them insights on their payment. So right now, well, pre-COVID, businesses were getting paid 30 days beyond payment terms. COVID's pushed that out even another week. And wouldn't it be nice to know that your client is most likely not going to pay on its payment date? That's another feature that we'd be able to add kind of in the future. So I really see it as working with the business and helping them grow and providing products that help them to grow and to have certainty of cash flow, as opposed to just pushing a lending product or pushing some type of finance product. And it's clear the problem's not fixed. Is the 12 trillion is still outstanding in what you call trapped liquidity. And there hasn't been kind of that magic bullet yet, because you see businesses are still in need. So I think there's a lot of work to do, especially with COVID. I think that's pushed SMEs to the brink, but the benefit to us, it's also pushed the digital agenda so that it's much more acceptable to access finance through an app and to get, and not through a large corporation or a large bank. So if anything, I think that helps us.
Time's up.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank
Great.
you.
Okay, hand over back again to then Isabel.
Well, thank you very much,
Thank you,
Anne, and really enjoyed your presentation as well. And congratulations to the depth of answering of the questions. And we are now getting to our third candidate. It's Adam Steele. with Pango, the Spotifyer of education. And Adam, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Let me just share my screen and enlarge it. Hopefully you can all see that now.
Yes, we do see your presentation, yes.
Perfect. Well, pleasure to meet you all. Thanks for the introduction. My name's Adam. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Pango. And what we're doing with Pango is disrupting an age-old industry, the education content industry. So 20 years ago, this was really the school textbook industry. Today, it's increasingly digital, but as you can see from the illustration at the bottom, teachers are interacting with multiple websites, content in different formats, many logins, lots of different pricing plans, and that fragmentation is essentially a really time-consuming pain. So what we're doing is unifying all of that distribution for this big content market, one platform, one experience. So we are for schools, they are our ultimate paying customers, and teachers, they are our users who need content from what is currently a very fragmented landscape. We don't make that content, we're just a distributor of it, just like Spotify is for music. And we recommend better content quicker, all in one place, in one unified experience. And we now have the technology, we have the platform that can ingest, organize, and recommend any content in any format from any producer for any curriculum for kids between the ages of 5 and 18. Now, for 2 hours a day, every day, teachers are doing what they refer to as lesson planning, which is broadly this process, working from a government framework or an exam board framework, a big picture curriculum, breaking that down into granular bite-sized pieces of content, the slides which go on the screen, the homework tasks which get sent out, the activity worksheets which are passed out. They need to curate that from lots of different sources, and that content all still needs to be managed, distributed, organized. The biggest pain that people report with this process is the fact that there are too many apps, too many systems, and really it's too hard to find the content that I need. So what Pango is it's that end-to-end solution that puts everything on one app, and teachers tell us they love it because everything is in one place. I really want to focus in here on the middle part of this workflow, the content distribution piece, because that is where there is a large budget in each school. That's where there is mass demand, and that's where there's willingness to pay in our sector. So in the US alone, which is our main market, the total spend at the moment is $11 billion. That's about 66K per school. But what surprises people is that globally, schools spend more money on education content than is spent on music. This is really a massive industry. And it's still growing because we are still at a transition to digital away from physical. In a few years' time, probably accelerated by COVID, you'll see this picture switch and will become a predominantly digital industry. And the analogy I always like to draw is with the music industry, where, as you all know, from the last 2 decades, we went from being a physical CD-based industry to what is now a predominantly digital streaming industry. And so it's that transition, that disruption that companies like Spotify and iTunes have seized and now own the distribution for that whole form of media. And we're doing the same thing with education content. And our business model is very similar to these new age media companies, Spotify in particular. We take the total subscription revenue from all of our schools and teachers. We keep a large chunk of that, in our case, half of it, and the rest of it we share back out to content owners, license holders, and authors in the form of digital royalties. So this is the exact disruption that Spotify caused in the music industry and what they do with artists and musicians now, and we're doing the same. Now, whenever I say I'm doing software to schools, the normal reaction is, oh, that's hard because budgets are low, willingness to pay is low, and sales cycles are long. And if you do
1 minute left.
If you do top-down enterprise sales, I would agree with you, but we're not doing that. We're going bottom up, as pioneered by these sorts of companies, product-led growth free to the end user. Class Dojo are the best example in schools of making that work. And we are a content-first company, not a software-first company. So the value proposition to our users is the media within our app, not the app itself. And content producers in our space actually do incredibly well at monetizing without difficult sales cycles. Version 1 of our product has attracted a range of teachers. I'll speed up a bit here to get through it. Good conversion rates, engagement is growing, and most importantly, the content in our app is growing exponentially. We have integrations with some of the biggest producers and content providers out there already. Those people would all fit in the blue circle. There are 1 or 2 people who play in the same space, but we combine all 3 uniquely. We're a team of 4 currently. It's me on the left there. I was a former teacher, then worked for education companies before going to HBS. My brother is our CTO. Stephen's our full stack lead developer. Rachel's another former teacher, front-end developer. This year is about growing our team, launching in the US, and lots of exciting developments on the product front. Thanks for listening.
Thank you very much.
Forward to questions.
Thank you. Very interesting.
Alec, I would like to mention that Margaret sent a message. She seems to have a technical problem with the hand raising. So I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah,
she might want to have
okay.
So what I
Okay.
suggest is if you have a technical problem, do like Margaret, raise your hand.
Yeah, exactly. You can also raise your hands like as I do right now, just physically. Maybe you have to hold it a little bit because I have to just slip through all the images here. I don't see them in one screen, so I have to go through this in order to see who is raising a hand. But I see, 3 hands right up right now, Nicola, Carol, and Jerome. So if this is still actual, why don't you go ahead and add your questions to that interesting presentation by Adam?
Start. Well, thanks, Adam, for the presentation. You're basically an aggregator of existing services. So the value of your service will depend on how much services you support. So imagine that Pearson or Coursera take 5 years to accept to be on your platform. What will be the impact on the value, and how long do you think it'll take to get a critical mass?
Great question. So lots of things I'd quite like to unpack in that. So first of all, the value of our platform is in a sense how much you have on the supply side and how much you have on the demand side, and therefore how well you can match the two. I don't think actually in our case, it's a question of volume in our industry. It's a question of quality of the matching in the middle. So we exist in a world where in education content where there is a vast quantity of good content out there. But it's really hard and really time consuming for teachers to get it. So I think the thing that we have to get right and the thing that will differentiate us and the winner in this space is the quality of the data and the quality of the algorithms to do the matching rather than volume on both sides. You mentioned that's one point. Another point, you mentioned Coursera and Pearson. So these are 2 giants of the industry. Pearson, the biggest traditional publisher. The content landscape is actually there's a very wide spectrum of different content providers. So those guys I put in bucket 1, Pearson, traditional content and textbook producers. Then you've got lots of smaller SME startups, digital first, produce their own content, set it on their website. Then you've got the peer-to-peer platforms, teachers pay teachers in the US, the TES in the UK. Then you've got not-for-profits, think BBC, think Khan Academy, think Wikipedia, lots of trusts that do that sort of stuff. And then you've got governments and exam boards. So that one thing and dynamic where the Spotify analogy breaks down is that Spotify really can't do without the major record labels because you have to have some of those key artists. In our world, I can do without the Pearsons of the world. I can do without the Coursera's because I can substitute their content for other people's content. So they don't have IP ownership over adding fractions, over grammar, over spelling, over the content that is taught in schools. And so the strategy that we're taking to onboard these content producers is not like Spotify had to do, big players first. It's actually smaller independent publishers building up from the bottom. So I'm not actually concerned about the Pearsons and so on, like coming on board and how quickly that will happen. Having said that, I'm speaking to all of the big players. We have content from Macmillan, one of the big publishers, all of Pearson as well as OUP. Lots of other publishers are in discussions about getting their content in.
Thank you.
Okay, so yeah, I have another question, but Carl, you also raised your hand. Maybe you go ahead.
Yes, you didn't mention Chegg. How does your strategy differ from what Chegg's been doing?
Yeah, so Chegg is more of a traditional textbook, if I understand correctly, like textbook aggregator and distributor. So again, as you've noticed, I love the analogy with Spotify, and there are other people who stick to the sort of textbook as the core unit of value. So what I think has changed in this world is that the textbook was never really, in my opinion, the thing that teachers needed. The thing that they wanted is a far more granular asset. So when I was at school, it was always turn to page 84 and look at the box in the bottom right corner. Then do the worksheets and the questions on page 24, 27. It's a much more of a reference book where you dip in and out of different pages at different times. It's not this thing where you start at the beginning and end at the end. So textbooks as a unit of value, I don't actually think are the future. Just like the album and the CD has declined as the unit of value in the music industry, and it's become more about songs and more granular assets. And so that's one of the ways in which we differ from the people who are essentially digitizing textbooks.
So you're saying a course plan and the bits of content that go in the course plan.
Correct, yeah. So we help teachers with the organization and the management and the collaboration of either building course plans themselves from scratch or adapting and editing the ones that they've been given by their school or their district, and then supplementing that and tweaking that with very, very granular assets. So I'm talking about a one-page worksheet, a 3-minute video, 2 slides that go on the screen. These are actually the things that classroom teachers in what Americans call K-12, or in England we call primary and secondary school, that's what they actually do. They mix and match and blend a lot of these micro assets rather than major assets.
So yeah, maybe I may add like a more kind of strategic or long-term question to you. I mean, to me, it seems like this model is very interesting for situations where you have a decentralized decision-making process with regards to the content. Yeah. And this brings me to the question of the question of what are the best education systems. I think that's a question that at the moment starts to become very relevant for nations. And I think we'll see even like a war on education, right, in the next 10 years. We have all realized that education is so important. So nations are trying to basically standardize to achieve a mostly high level of education for the whole population. This to me means a little bit that the state tries to establish a standard on the schools, on the individual regions. And here is my question: is what do you do with such a situation? I mean, at the moment, I know, for example, the USA, you have that kind of decentralized decision making. In Germany, for example, in other European states, I know it's much more standardized. So in a school in Germany, for example, they have the curriculum that is given by the state. They have the content, so they cannot really choose so much of individual free content. And I would be a question to you, how you see the whole situation unfolding and what you do with this.
Yeah, good question. And you've used a lot of the examples already that I was going to use in my answer. So decentralization is exactly the right way to describe centralized or decentralized, the different dynamics in different countries. So I should explain and start with the fact that we have launched and started Pango in the UK, which has a very decentralized education system, and our major market and second market is the US, which is the same very decentralized education system. So what I mean by that is that all budgets are owned and controlled at the school level, or in the US a bit more centralized at the district level, but these are very, very small units. It's more like an SME market rather than large public sector industries is the way to think about it. And you're right that even here within Europe, we have quite different dynamics and views on how centralized systems should be. So France and Germany were 2 examples I was going to use again, where states are more top down in dictating things. So what often surprises people is that in the UK,
2 minutes.
Thank you. In the UK and the US, teachers have total control, total autonomy over what granular content they're using day to day. So, as my answer to the last question, the slides which go on the screen, the videos that are showing the worksheets, that is intentionally left in the hands of the teacher to decide what's appropriate. That's not dictated and should never be dictated by a higher authority. The high level curriculum is much higher above that, and that is the only thing which is set at the state level. So our strategy is that the UK and the US, predominantly the US, is easily a big enough market to go after to start with. Then after that, I see the global applicability actually being in Asia. And in Asia, I would say it's far more about probably the tutoring market rather than the school market. So that the cultural dynamics and the structural dynamics of the education systems between Asia and UK and US are very different. But I think there's a huge opportunity in Southeast Asia and India as well for the tutoring market, because our product will be applicable in a very similar way.
Yeah. And then if there's no other question, and we still have
Alec,
a few...
may I remind you that Margaret cannot
I don't
raise
see
her
it.
hand.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen her. Okay, please go ahead.
Yeah, apologies for some technical issue on the hand raising. Yeah, I wanted to go back to Nicholas's question on how you're going to build your customer base. It's not clear how you're actually going to build up to a critical mass and how you're going to build that customer base. How are you going to go about finding customers?
Yeah, so first of all, I should maybe explain how we segment the market on the customer side. So there's really 3 dimensions. First of all is age of the pupil. So in England, it's crudely primary, which is ages 5 to 11, and then secondary, which would be ages 11 to 18, and that sort of a similar analogous system exists in many countries. So first of all is age. Secondly is subject. So maths and English, or literacy, numeracy, and then the sciences, and then a long list of other subjects. And then third is geography. So to start with, our first segment is primary, maths and English in the UK. And the reason for that is if you do that combination, you hit about 50% of the teachers in the country for about 80% of their needs. Because the truth is that the primary school curriculum is dominated by numeracy and literacy. And that's true in the US as well. So again, it will stick with primary or up to age 11, numeracy and literacy. Geographically, then UK first, followed by American states. We're launching in America from the coming academic year. Still yet to be 100% decided which states we're going to start in. And we have a short list of about 5 to 10 at the moment. And this is based on different dynamics, different population densities, different hypotheses at the moment about where we think the schools and the districts that are most likely to adopt our product at this stage are. At that point, then, the thing that we're really tapping into is, I mentioned it very briefly in the presentation, but it's this bottom-up product-led growth mentality of being able to market directly to the end user. So we're not sending teams of salespeople out to do presentations to principals and try and force a product top-down on people. It's about getting teachers sitting on their laptops late at night, entering Google searches for grade 3 2-digit addition worksheet.
Adam, time's up.
Sorry, that search volume is enormous, and that's the way we're going to market directly to teachers.
Thank you very much. Very interesting. This really was interesting also too. So, yeah, Isabel, you want to take over?
So we are thus completing the pitching session. And I'd like to thank not only the judges, but also, of course, the presenters for their professionalism and their respect of the time. Congratulations to all of you, and congratulations as well to Joanna for doing such a nice job at keeping us on track there. And Alec, again, thank you for being moderating it so well. So now what we are going to do is we are going to join 2 parallel tracks. First of all, the judges are going to leave us and go into their deliberation chamber in order to choose who is going to be the winner tonight. And while they are doing that, we will stay with the audience, and we will have two activities. The first one is Benoît Dupont is going to launch the crowd favorite survey. And once this is launched, you have answered, we'll get into the Q&A session. We received a number of information on the questions that have been coming. So we will try to ask those questions as much as we can. We will stop the Q&A when the judges will tell us that they have found a winner or elected a winner, and we'll then reconcile. And then it's going to be very quick: winner announcement, crowd favorite announcement. And of course, the winner will probably want to say a few words, I guess. And then we'll just close the event. So Alec and the judges are disappearing. They are going to another room. And in the meantime, we have our friend Benoît Dupont, who is going to launch the crowd favorite survey. Benoît, it's all yours.
Thank you so much, Isabel, and good evening to everybody. So I'll be sharing a poll that you will see appear on the screen in a few seconds. We'll give you about a minute to fill it in, and hopefully everybody in the crowd will have enough time to fill that poll. And so you should see it on your screen in 3, 2, 1. And now, please take the time, 1 minute, to vote for your crowd favorite. So again, Muse, Pango, or Health Textiles, 3 great finalists tonight. So we give you a bit more, 30 more seconds to go. And as we'll close the poll in a few seconds, we'll be keeping the results for us in the meantime, moving to Q&A, and then we'll share the results as the Q&A session ends. So we have about 76% of attendees that have voted. Still have the time to do it. So we give you 15 more seconds. Okay, 10 seconds. All right, so we'll end the poll there and come back to you later with the results. Thank you so much for voting, all attendees. Back to you, Isabel. I think you're on mute.
That might help. Does it? Thank you so much. You know, how can I? So first of all, thank you so much, Benoît. And as I mentioned, you know, Benoît was a crowd favorite in Boston when it was possible to go to Boston and compete in Boston, and was the 2017 18 winner. So crowd favorite to crowd favorite, we thought it would be a good way for him that he tonight announces the crowd favorite winner. So let's now get into the into the question and answer session. And let me just get this on track. And 2 seconds. I am trying to look at the questions we received.
Isabelle, I think we have our first question, the one that's open from Laurent. We've answered 12 already. So would you like for me to read it out loud?
Actually, the questions, Isabel, are on your chat. Please. Thank you.
So we have one question that has come from Surya Boumedine from Bain, and the question is for Pango. And it says, as you grow your business and organization, what are the additional talents you will need to hire in order to strengthen your team, and how would you select them?
Thank you. Very good question, because we are currently halfway through a fundraising process. We raised about 40% of the $1 million round we're doing, and the main use of that capital will be to increase the size of our team from 4 people to 8 people. So the first 2 hires that we want to make are what I call, first of all, the head of growth, and then what will be the head of education, which is really a BD role. And so I always describe it like this, that we're the platform in the middle. On one side, we have content producers, publishers, authors. And so there's a business development job that needs to be done there to grow and to onboard as many people on that supply side as possible. And then there's a marketing and growth need on the other side, on the demand side, to grow and attract teachers and schools as much as possible. So at the moment, the team of 4 that we have is very, very tech heavy. We're very, very engineering, data, and product focused, because that's what we've had to do in our first 2 years is build a product and get to that point where we now have all that. Now the app is there, the product is there. We've started to see quite a lot, not started to see, we are seeing quite a lot of growth on both sides of the platform. The next 2 hires we want to make are full-time people to accelerate that. Beyond that, then we'll want to build up a bit more machine learning and technical capacity, because long term, I think the moat around our business, the thing that will make us very defensible, is actually our recommendation engine, our ability to give people exactly the content they want in the first 3 results, similar to what Google does. So we'll need very strong capacity on that front as well. And then also, because of our bottom-up marketing approach of going straight to teachers, it's really crucial that our products, UX and design, is really first class. So people have to sign up to this product, and then within 60 seconds, 90 seconds, see, this is great, I get the point of it, I'm going to use it. And they don't need a long sales process. So that's going to involve top quality UX, top quality design. So those are the 4 next hires I've got in my mind to take us to the next level.
Thank you very much, Adam. We also had a question for Thomas, and it was about what is your competition, and how will you, beat them?
Our competition is coming mainly from. Oh, can you hear me?
Go ahead, Thomas. We can hear you.
Yes, our competition is mainly coming from in terms of antimicrobial, from the silver coating companies. They're using a lot of silver and zinc in their antimicrobial effort, and that's really bad because it kills. The silver kills everything, And you've seen a lot. I mean, before COVID, the sports industry were moving away from silver coated solutions in sportswear. But now, thanks because of the COVID, then it got an uprising. But it's really bad in long term for sustainability, for people, environment. So that's what we see in the competition antimicrobial market.
Okay, thank you very much, Thomas. We have one question as well for Muse. What are your geographic priorities to expand?
So our first is to gain market share within the UK through our partnerships, and post that it's to then expand over into the US. The ideal is that this capital raise brings us to Series A, and that we're expanding in the US in the next 14 to 16 months.
Thank you very much. That's a great plan, invading the Anglo-Saxon world and the other world as well. So good job. Another question for Pango. What about wouldn't the material that get small stars, wouldn't there be the others to propose to a wider, the ones to propose to a wider audience? Did you get that? What about speeding up the standardization of education, and wouldn't the material that gets more stars be the ones proposed to a wider audience?
So if I understand that correctly, maybe the concern is about overly standardizing education. So no, I think again, the analogy I always use is with Spotify. So in the music industry, for example, there are the most popular artists, the most popular bands. Yes, you hear them on the radio more often, but actually the beauty of Spotify is that it learns my personal taste in music. It learns my personal preferences. Netflix does the same thing, by the way, and it recommends content, not only which is of high quality, but is very well curated and very well recommended just for me and my personal tastes. So we're doing the same thing with Pango, and this is all about can you get the data from both your users and the content to be able to do that matching process effectively. So no, the standardization concern, I don't think is one that we should be worried about. And their teachers themselves are already will resist that themselves. There's no worry of certain things being pushed to the forefront and rejecting everything else. In the same way that your tastes around music and TV shows maintain some sort of spectrum on what content is produced and what's consumed.
Okay, thank you very much. One question for Muse. How is the current revenue achieved compared with the business plan projections?
We're actually ahead of target at the moment from what our projections are, and we're kind of expecting to continue with that trajectory. One thing that I would see is kind of a big catalyst is being able to hire in really additional sales force, because at the moment we have a lot of leads coming in and a lot of traction. So really kind of need to build out on the sales and the tech a bit more to support it. But so far, so good.
Okay, great to hear. We also have another one for you, which I'm getting to right now. How will you grow with your customers? They will soon be more than, you were saying, soon be more than 25 employees. So how are you working yourself out of your customers?
Customers. Yes, it's a great question. And there's two things really to highlight. So we've put together, or we have right now, an established debt line of £10 million, but actually our funders have well over 100 million for us to commit into the market. So we feel like we can handle additional flow if that were to come in. Although our target market is for 25 employees and 5 million of turnover, we've had clients that have 250 employees and 12 million of turnover. So it just goes to show that this problem's not resolved, and we're here to kind of solve it. But we're really trying to focus on those companies that are most disadvantaged at the moment, and that's really the under 5 million of turnover.
Okay, thank you very much. Julie, maybe you can help us with some more questions that you might have identified.
Just to let you know, the judges are back now. The judges.
Okay, very good. Good. So it looks like we have a white smoke, like in the Vatican, right? So Alex, tell us everything.
Everything. Okay, thank you very much, Isabel. And I mean, let me start first, really basically expressing our gratitude from the side of the jury, of my colleagues and myself for the hard work all the finalists have been doing. And I have to again emphasize, I mean, you said, Isabel, 26 contenders this year. When we discussed in the first round and chose the finalists, it was already, I mean, there were some other really interesting projects. So just to let the three of you know, the three finalists, that all of your projects are really interesting projects. And just in the last like 10 minutes, we discussed this and we said, I mean, all these three projects are not only interesting projects, they are very positive projects in the sense that they really create a positive impact on the world in completely different ways, but in really good ways. Yeah. And so it was not that easy from that point of view. I think Adam and Thomas, I think you're up to something really, really important too. You're good. Today, yeah, maybe it's just today, but today, Anne-Marie, she was just the best. She was really convincing us with almost all the aspects. So Anne-Marie, with your team, I think you're going to Boston. And why did we think so? I think like on the different categories, I mean, you were really, I think we thought you have just the best. Yeah, look at the price here. You have had just a great presentation. You have on different categories a very strong setup, especially the team. When we look at the team, this was really good and strong, and for all the judges, basically there was a complete consensus on that. In terms of the financial model, this is a very attractive financial model. We think it's great that you have chosen a combination of product features that enable you to create benefits for both sides of this marketplace, which is very clever, we think, and so this is fantastic. We have a bit of course, and we couldn't discuss this now in the long enough, but there's a bit of a weakness in our opinion, or at least when we discuss this on the go-to-market side. We think you will get that right. So happy to, I mean, you can approach us anyway with questions or whatever if you want to get some advice on that. Also for the other two participants, I have to say, if you want to get some help or so, just let us know. We are more than happy to help you. Again, I think all projects are great projects. I'm sorry we had to choose one, but I'm very happy for Anne-Marie and the team. And I'm sure that also Thomas and Adam, you will also make your way. So fingers crossed from the jury side. All the best to every one of you, and especially Anne-Marie and the team. We cross our fingers that you will come out as the winner in Boston.
Thank you very much, Alec, and let us take the opportunity to thank you. You've done a fantastic job as a lead judge, and to also thank all of the judges who've been judging quite professionally, and who I know have given a lot of attention and focus to this competition. So thanks a lot. That's a great job. Anne-Marie, great job. Congratulations to you. And you're going to Boston, of course, virtually, but it's better to go virtually, right, than not to go. And I really would like as well to congratulate both Adam and Thomas for the presentation they did today. I will not repeat what Alex said because he said it all, and we'll just say that if you want to come back next year, we'll welcome you wholeheartedly. And in the meantime, we wish you all the best. And you've heard what Alec has said in terms of being open and available, and you can count on the entire NVC team as well for doing that.
Maybe
so,
the crowd favorite, Isabelle.
Yes, no, but I was just coming to it, Benoit. So Benoit, what I'd like to do now is for you to announce to us who is the crowd favorite.
So the good thing about the poll is that we don't have to make a decision. The decision is done automatically by the attendees. So I would just release the button and share the official results with you guys. And so the winner of the crowd favorite award tonight is Muse with Anne-Marie. So congratulations. I think it's a tradition basically that usually the crowd favorite is also the winner, but it can change from different years. But in this case, again, I think congratulations to you and the entire Muse team.
So it's a double prize. So congratulations to you. And as Benoit says, it happens often that it is the case, sometimes not. So congratulations and well done, Anne-Marie. So with this, I'd like to maybe take this session to listen maybe to you, Anne-Marie, as you tell us a few words as the winner. So what is it to be a winner of the New Venture competition? Tell us, how do you feel? What does that mean to you? Let us know.
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you for the opportunity to present Muse. Thank you to the judges for taking their time to speak with us, and I look forward to hopefully having a relationship with them ongoing, because I think there's a lot of really good, valuable expertise. So thank you, and thank you to the organizers for putting this together. I think Adam and Thomas had some fantastic presentations, so I'm really looking forward to both of those businesses taking off. I had some of my investors messaging me about both of your businesses, so we'd love to put you in contact if you're interested. And I think competitions like this are great. It allows us to sharpen up our skills, but really couldn't have happened without the hard work of the team. And Alec, I think you're 100% right. Like, this team that we've been able to kind of come together really has outperformed consistently over the last few months, and through what was a challenging time with COVID. I'm really proud and impressed by the effort that everyone's put together. So I wouldn't be here if it weren't for them, and I know they're somewhere there, and I think actually my family in California on as well. So it's a nice accomplishment to be here. We're really excited, and this is a fantastic milestone for us, and something that's really going to help. Every little bit helps kind of catapult you to the next level, and really thank you for considering us, and we're beyond thrilled to go to Boston.
Isabel, I think you're muted.
Thank you. So thank you very much, Anne-Marie. And we are delighted that you are going to Boston. And we want to share with you the trophy that you are going to receive by mail this time. It doesn't virtually, you know, we are not yet in the times where it appears on your table right now. So we will also have such trophies handed out to our competitors tonight, and also to the judges and all the team members who have been participating to this event tonight. So this being said, this being said, I would like to now close the event, and I would like to first start by thanking our sponsors, because without them, we would not be running this competition. So I'd like to thank Bain & Company. I'd like to mention as well that Bain & Company provided all of the finalists tonight with 1.5 hours of coaching on their project before they presented here in the competition. So thank you very much to Bain & Company. I'd like to also thank, of course, SAP.io, so the early stage venture of SAP, as well as the investment banking and asset management company Ilium Partners. So thanks a lot to you all, and of course, you know, thanks a lot to Jennifer and to Sandra for being here tonight. And of course, we'd like to thank you a lot, since you are our main sponsor, and you helped us so much driving this competition and providing such a helpful support and advice all over the time of this competition. So thank you a lot to you. Thank as well to other judges. Again, quite a professional work was done. Great job by Alec in terms of leading the judges, a fantastic team. And then, of course, I'd like to thank the team, you know, the NVC team. So I'd like to thank, of course, Benoit for showing the, doing the crowd favorite tonight. We see Caroline on the screen. We see Johanna on the screen as well. Both Caroline and Johanna are part of our marketing teams, and they are the reason why we have so many participants today. They are helped by country ambassadors, one of them being Julie Mulcahy, who's been also quite helpful and great advice and support for us. Julie, by the way, joined us as the marketing, the VP marketing and events of the HBS UK club, and I hope she comes and helps us next year as well. And she will appoint somebody, but she now is the UK HBS president. I'd like, and of course, in the team, so we have the other country ambassadors, which I'd like to thank. Gerrit from NL, and Ebony from Germany. And with this, we have completed the name of the team members. So thank you, of course. And of course, you know, there would be no competition without you, the participants. So thank you so much, participants. We really enjoyed having you, and we are really looking forward to sending, first of all, Anne-Marie virtually to Boston, and then second of all, to have her come back, hopefully with a prize. And then we're looking forward to seeing you next year, and to share with you the 2022 NVC competition. This being said, I call it a day, and I wish you all a very, very good evening. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Isabella. None of this would have happened without your leadership. Thank you very, very, very much.
Thank you, and thank you to all. And we had a few.
Bravo.
Yeah.
Great job.
Thank you.
Until next year.
Yeah. Until next year. Bye-bye.
Hopefully face-to-face.
Bye, everyone. Congratulations.
Bye-bye, everyone. And thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Tu peux mettre à la fin. Ok.